Hello everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Today, we're reacting to Races and Classes. It's by Necrits, and I'll leave his YouTube channel down there in the description if you want to check it out. So, yeah, let's go. Alright, Ionia. Let's see. The captions are on. Let's go.
Well,
Hi.
I'm back.
Mm-hmm.
Last time we had a look at the world of Riot's MMO, and we talked about how the overall world design has been done for a few years now.
Obvious,
If
yeah.
you have no idea what League's universe is about, I would recommend watching that one first. But now that we learned about the basics, we can dive into the other big MMO topic. The playable races
Oh, that's
and classes.
horrible.
When it comes to the races, just like the world, they are pretty much done.
Mm.
Over the years, the lore fleshed out the races of Runeterra, and now they each have their own unique story. In fact, at
That's
this
cool.
point, it feels like we know Riot will not make up a brand new race. Of course, they could always theoretically do it, but I seriously doubt they would. Because that would be like forcing a new race into the world of Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
It would feel off among all the already established
And it
rules.
doesn't make any sense.
I strongly doubt you wanna put a bunny person next to Aragorn.
I don't know
With
about that.
said, don't worry, because the lore will allow Riot to make up new races and make them feel natural.
Okay.
I'll show you their clever system in just a moment. But for now, just know that yes, we already know the races of this world. So the question is not going to be what races Riot is going to pick up.
Which ones are going to be in the MMO?
From the races that already exist, which ones will be playable?
Definitely cat people. Definitely.
How will they be playable? You see, a few years back, I released a similar video where we talked about the classes and the races together with TB Skyen. And today, I would not recommend you watch that video. Back then, I was still clinging onto the idea that faction-based MMOs were a good idea.
Like WoW?
It worked for WoW, and it worked for my guilty pleasure, Wildstyle.
I don't know about that.
Unfortunately, what I didn't know is that merely a year later, the idea of faction-based MMOs
Final Fantasy is so beautiful.
That's because factions have a massive flaw. Besides the fact that PvP is almost guaranteed to be one-sided. I mean, who would want to play for the losing side?
That's true.
Especially if there is no compensation.
I'd play for the losing side.
Classic WoW is a perfect proof of that. Not to mention New World. But also, if you split everyone into two sides, you are splitting up your player base. And that is almost never a good idea. You simply don't want to prevent people from playing together. The reason why in the past it worked for WoW is because Blizzard heavily played into the faction pride. People were proud to fight for the Horde or the Alliance. But even back then, it really wasn't perfect. And then people started min-maxing the game and they realized that factions didn't matter. And that's where Riot has the edge. You may know that League of Legends has a lot of different regions, where they all act independently and they all have unique relationships with their neighbors. Because of this, forcing faction alliances into this world would ruin the already established lore. So PvP factions are most likely not going to be a thing. However, despite that, League absolutely has faction pride. People love it when a new Shuriman champion is announced because people love that place. And people love it when the new champion is not Ionian because goddamn we have too many Ionians. Nearly every League of Legends player has a favorite.
I didn't know that you had too many Ionians.
Comes out, people will want to play for that region. And
I don't know if I have a favorite region. Hold on. I actually like Ionia a lot, but it seems like is that like bad to like Ionia because there's so many Ionians out there? I don't know. Let me know in the comments what's your favorite region. But I really like Ionia. I'm trying to think if there's another one that I like. I don't know. And maybe because I watched so many about Ionia.
The lore of League of Legends is based around the idea that anyone can be from any region. After an event, the story refers to as the westward migration. Races mixed up all around the world. So it's not like there is a furry region where you can only see furries. There are definitely regions where you can see more furries, but this world doesn't have exclusives. This means that when you're picking up what you want to play, Besides
Mm.
just picking a race and a class combination, I strongly
But like,
suggest.
you probably don't want to be a powerful mage in that one place that don't like mages, but they do have mages there, so that does play out too. Hmm.
Riot also allows people to pick their origin, with the origin being the starting region.
What is that place? Is that the place that's afraid of mages? Right there? Probably Noxus. I know Noxus. I know the cold place. Ionia. Those waters, the pirates' place. That's the desert. And that is that the place that locked themselves up because of they thought the void was gonna destroy the planet? Again, I'm trying to learn this. Yeah, I think my favorite place would be Ionia and Billswater. I like Billswater a lot too.
Without a system like this, you would force all human champions to be, for example, Noxian. And that is simply not how this world works. So,
I
I've been
wanna be a
meddling about how
Noxian.
this world works for quite a while. So now, let's actually dive into all the races that exist in this universe.
Yes, please.
Spoiler alert, League doesn't have too many different races,
Really?
because it's focusing
I
on
thought they had
depth
quite a
over
bit.
variety. Of course, as it is with any RPG, there is the human race.
Mm-hmm.
But it
No,
would be
who
cool
would
if
be
the
a
humans
human?
varied depending on their origin.
I never understood
For
that.
example, if you pick a human from the Freljord, they would be an Iceborn and they would have extra frost resistance. A
Ooh, that's
Demacian
smart.
could have a
Yeah.
bit more magic
Okay.
resistance. Ionians could have a bit more nature resistance, Shuriman's heat resistance, and so on. I think it's going to be crucial for Riot to preserve the feeling of every origin feeling at least slightly different.
Yeah.
This is an RPG after all, and despite the fact that balancing is usually a big issue, I strongly believe these RPG elements have to be preserved. But if Riot is afraid of people min-maxing the game from the very beginning, focusing on the origin stat with the most value, Riot can always do the safe thing and only give each origin different customization. In the Freljord, people tend to be more pale with lush beards and Nordic tattoos all over their bodies. Shurimans have the classic dreadlock style. People from Bilgewater have the pirate crew tattoos.
I do like that.
Pilgrims are your fancy mustache people,
Custodians?
and Ionians have the wild, untamed hair and beards. So
Yes.
even without special origin stats, I do believe these unique character customizations would enhance the region pride too. So
That's smart.
that's what humans would be about. Pretty versatile and nothing too special in an RPG world. So now, let's have a look at the more unique races.
Yes.
After humans, the second most spread out race
She's
are the
pretty.
Vastaya. As
What
we
is that?
mentioned in the last
Vastaya.
video,
Vastaya.
The
The
Vastaya
bird
are a
people,
race
animal
that came
people.
to be after humans started mating with magical animals. But the thing
Really?
is, depending on where they are from,
Really?
there are loads of different kinds of Vastaya.
Uh-huh.
From cat boys to fox girls to lizard girls. In
Wow.
fact, here's a family tree of all the Vastayan tribes, and even this doesn't cover all of them. And this is where Riot can pull off something genius. As I said, this world already has set rules. So it would be very difficult to introduce a brand new race into this universe. However, it is going to be very easy to just make up a new Vastayan tribe. So I propose that Riot doesn't make the Vastaya as a playable race overall, but instead it would be cool if Riot let the specific tribes to be playable races. This would leave the door open for them to introduce new playable
ones with
races
every
later down the
expansion,
line.
probably.
If they cross off all the Vastaya at once, they kinda shoot themselves in the foot. But I know,
I agree.
Here I go.
Because so many
about how
people would
the
want to
world
be
works.
an animal
So let's have a
human.
look at some of the specific tribes. When I say Vastaya, most people think of Ari. She comes from the Vasani that look like foxes. Although her tribe is mostly gone, the lore can
Really? What
justify
happened to her
guild members
tribe?
to be found, so they can be playable. The Kilash tribe comes from the jungles between Shurima and
I
Ilka.
know a lot of people
These
probably like to play
lion-like
them.
people are known for hunting dangerous
Kilash.
beasts, and they take great pride in trophy collecting. It's the average mount collector. The Shimon tribe are monkey-like people from Ionia.
Adorable.
While their older members are very wise, their younger members can be very goofy. The Otrani come from Mount Targon, resembling the classic goat people.
I like that a
Their
lot.
hobbies are taking care of the Stellarcorns. The Lowthland tribe
Now what are
Ionians
Stellarcorns?
who
They're
resemble
adorable.
bird people.
I do
This
like the bird
tribe
people
likes to
too.
combine the art of dancing with lethal assassinations. The Uvikat are something
Booby
close
cut.
to lizards, though they do have the ability to shapeshift. Out of all of the other tribes, these are the closest to their pure blood
Like a
ancestors.
chameleon. Okay.
And we also technically have
Fish
the
people.
Marai, the fish people whom
Which,
I doubt are going to be playable.
so, do the fish people have a city underwater? Because I know in Final Fantasy they had an expansion where you could go visit fish people in the water, and that I don't know if they have a city underwater because I've never heard about that. Where do they live?
Imagine modeling boots for them. Now, these were the more pure blood tribes, but there are many more Vastaya who don't fit any of these. For example, Set has an Ionian Vastayan mother and a Noxian human father,
Ooh,
so he doesn't really have a tribe. Long story short, the Vastaya
who is
are an
she?
incredibly versatile
Who is
race,
this
and Riot
kid?
can use them in a
I keep
million
seeing
different
pictures
ways.
of her.
This is where they can really go wild. But that's it for the Vastaya. So now, let's have a look at
I
the
like
third
Vastaya.
most
I'd probably
popular
pick
race,
Vastaya.
the Yordles.
Yordles, they're
These
so cute.
are the classic RPG tiny people. In League of Legends, people either adore them or hate them. There is no in between.
I adore them.
Kinda
They're
like those
adorable.
guys.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But not those guys, everyone hates them. There
Is
is
that true?
no doubt
Why?
in my mind that Yordles will be playable, even though they have an interesting catch. You see, unlike all the other races on Runeterra, Yordles are immortal. They are essentially modes of magic that come from a hidden magical realm known as Bandle City. And because
How
they
would
are
they
made of
play that
magical
out, though?
essence, when they die, we don't really know what happens. But we assume they return to the Bandle City and there they respawn. With that said, the lore suggests that maybe Yordles can die, but they just can't die of old age. But let's ignore that, that's a massive rabbit hole. So, you know, when it comes to
Okay.
gameplay, at least corpse running is going to make sense for them. Now, because Yordles are immortal, in most cases they are always happy and cheerful. Even their home realm is very colorful because of that. But then there is also Vex, a Yordle champion who has recently been
Vex
added
looks
into League of
cool.
Legends, who gives Yordles an interesting perspective. You see, unlike all the other Yordles, Vex hates living. She hates the bright colors and the
Oh, I
cheerfulness.
remember somebody telling me about this.
It's the average League player, so Vex is constantly in
Vex
deep
is really
depression
cool looking.
and agony. All she wishes for is to leave this world, but she can't, because Yordles can't die. Anyway, just like all the other races, Yordles can be found all around Runeterra. There is Poppy in Demacia, Kled in Noxus, Kennen in Ionia,
Ganon.
Rumble in Shurima,
Rumble.
so
I
on.
like Rumble.
But now, so far we have only covered the races which I'm pretty sure will launch with the MMO. The humans, the Vastaya, and the Yordles are the core of this world. So now we are diving into the races that still exist in this universe.
Okay.
But it's going to be up to Riot if they make them playable. First of all, there are the Minotaurs. The Minotaurs are different from the Vastaya because
I don't
they
think I've ever
have
seen
magical
Minotaurs as a
ancestors.
playable
They
race in a
are
game.
just a standalone race.
That would be really cool.
Originally, the Minotaurs controlled the mountains south of Noxus, but because Noxus is Noxus, soon they absorbed the Minotaurs into their empire. With that said, some Minotaurs fled the tyranny of Noxus and they joined the other regions. A great example is Kryl, the Minotaur fighting in the elite armies of Demacia. And yes, the Minotaurs also have the stereotypical sexy female version in this universe, so they can easily be turned into a playable race. Next, in Bilgewater, there is an incredible amount of weird fishy people. A lot of these could be really cool playable races when Bilgewater gets its expansion. Although
That would
modeling
be
helmets
good.
for a hammerhead shark is going to be interesting.
Well, they could do like Final Fantasy and just make it where you can't wear helmets with the character, you can't show it off. But that stinks.
Also, can't forget about the trolls. Previously, I showed you the ice trolls.
I don't
but there
know.
are
Trolls
also the
are probably
sand
gonna be
trolls.
one of the main
And
baddies
here's
that
an
you
interesting
fight in
fact for
dungeons.
League veterans. We have never seen a sand troll, but because of Ezreal's adventures, we know they exist. They should be around Icathia, which is where Jax is from, who also has 3 fingers, by the way. So it is extremely likely that the mysterious Jax is a sand troll.
Chat?
Regardless, the majority of
I don't
trolls
think I've
are
heard of
united
him.
under Trundle, the self-proclaimed Troll King, who is fighting in the service of Lysandra, who is a baddie even though she is morally right. So since the majority of the trolls are our enemies, I doubt they will be a playable race.
Yeah,
Lastly,
because
let's
of
not
that.
forget that this universe also has Yetis. Fun fact,
Really?
before everything got frozen, the Yeti civilization was
I
fairly
imagine the
advanced.
Yetis would
They
be a
even had
one
their
of the
own
bad
technology
guys too
based
that you
around
can't play.
magic. In fact, Willem, the Yeti Nunu is riding on,
He's a
is a
Yeti?
hologram from the Yeti technology. But
He's
then, as the
adorable.
civilization disappeared, the Yetis went a bit more ferocious. So no, they won't be playable either.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it for the races.
They'll be one of the
As I
monsters you fight,
mentioned,
though,
there
probably.
aren't too many different kinds. But that's because Riot is avoiding mimicking other RPGs. That's why there are no dwarves or elves here. Runeterra is simply trying to be unique in every way, and so far...
And you know, from what I've seen and read and all the lore that I've learned, it is very unique. And if they do make an MMO really well, it's gonna do very, very well. This is like amazing to me how the lore is so good.
It is working. Now, I also
all the
have
characters
seen
all
some people
seem unique,
asking
even
if
though they have like
Darkin
Yetis
will
and
be playable. To which I have to
monitors,
say,
whatever.
that's like asking if you can play as a god. The Darkin are a corrupted version of the ascended god warriors.
Minotaurs.
A single
Minotaurs.
Darkin can annihilate an army of
No, Darkins
1,000.
are gonna be baddies.
In fact, the Darkin known as Aatrox is the only being in existence that managed to kill a celestial god. He stabbed someone wielding the power of the aspect of war so hard, the aspect of war died. So no, I don't think Darkin will be playable.
No,
anyway,
they're
with
baddies.
all the races covered, assuming Riot is going to use the origin system, this is what the playable races could look like. Humans are versatile, they are everywhere, there is not much to mention there.
Yeah,
when it comes to
Yordles.
Vastaya, the common tribes can easily appear in Noxus, Piltover and Bilgewater. These are the regions open to everyone. On the other side, the Vastaya are closely linked to spiritual magic, so you will hardly find one in the Masia, since it is a firmly anti-magic region.
Yeah, okay, so I was right.
Somehow, not many Vastaya were ever mentioned in the Freljord, so Riot doesn't have to force them there.
Okay.
But then we have Shurima, Ionia and Targon. Assuming these would be saved for expansions, they could be used to introduce new playable races. Since I doubt all the
that would be
newcomers remember the names, the Kilash, Lothlan and Otrani are the lion people, bird people,
and the
goat
birdies.
When it comes to the Yordles, as I mentioned,
I like the
they
goats
can originate from anywhere, but they do avoid the Freljord and Targon because of the harsh climates. And yes, I know there were some prehistoric Yordles in the Freljord, but after it got covered in ice, they disappeared. And lastly, the Minotaurs can be found in Demacia and Noxus. But it does make sense for some of them to flee to the Freljord, and others to travel to Ionia during the invasion. With all of this said, remember, this is just my decently educated opinion.
I think it's pretty
much mixed up
educated.
all over Runeterra. Riot
it makes
could
sense.
also lift the limitations and let every race start in every region.
Yeah, but that doesn't make that much sense.
Some story would be wonky, but it wouldn't be anything horrible. Although, I still believe some racial exclusivity helps the feeling of RPGs. So, all of this is still only the first half of the video. If you want to take a break and do your business without washing your hands, now's your chance.
I'm good.
This program will continue in 5 seconds.
Why is a cat riding a bat?
Did you wash your hands? Okay,
no.
So far we only covered the races, which was definitely still the easy part. The much more difficult part are going to be the classes.
The classes.
This is where Riot is facing a great challenge. Partially, it's because there are inherently no wrong answers when it comes to designing a class system. You can really make anything work if you put some thought into it. But more than that, Riot is challenged by the setting itself. League of Legends currently has over 160 different champions. They each have unique abilities, and together they can define about 40 different classes. I counted them myself. From these, Riot has to pick only a handful to be playable. which means the
Yeah.
majority of the classes won't make it in. And
Maybe
people who
have
love
like
those classes will be
their fan
disappointed.
base vote for which ones they
Thankfully,
want in the
I'm not the
MMO.
designer, so instead of trying to figure out how to make this work, I'm going to show you all the cool, unique classes this universe has.
Okay.
And again,
Yeah, because I
because
don't know much
region
about
pride is a
classes.
big part of this universe, you'll see that some of these are tied to specific regions. But not the
Like the
warrior.
ninja
That
people.
one is different in every single region. So let's start with that. The warriors in this universe provide a unique challenge on top of the already difficult decisions. It's because in every region, the fantasy of a warrior is represented by something else. In Demacia, it is the Dauntless Vanguard. These
Masti.
are the classic knights in
The
shiny
people are
armor
afraid of
pursuing
magic.
justice. In Noxus, the traditional warrior would be part of the Trifarian Legion, which is a rank you can achieve after killing your best sparring friend in combat.
Oh my
These
gosh.
guys rarely use shields. In Shurima, the classic warrior is the warrior of the Golden Army. These are fighting for the glory of the Shuriman Emperor. In Piltover, you would have the enforcers. Simply said, it's the cops. People will know these from Arcane.
Yeah.
But in a way, the wardens are the
I
moody
can't imagine
warriors
a lot
of
of people wanting
Piltover.
to be them.
But then, in the Freljord, warriors are represented by the Berserks, either
Freljord.
wielding axes or
That's
giant
awesome.
blades as they worship the primal god known as the Iron Boar. On
And-
Targon, we have the warriors of Rakor, which are somewhat themed after the classic Spartan armies.
Yeah,
Then
I can
in
see it.
Ionia, the classic warrior is known as a blade master,
Kind of like a
with
samurai.
samurai-styled swords
Yeah.
that have a rich history in
Okay.
this region.
That one's
Also,
cool.
there are the Vuju blade masters,
Ninjas?
which are on a totally different level. The Vuju technique is so powerful it was forbidden from using it in combat. The TLDR version of the story is that when Noxus invaded Ionia, Master Yi obliterated entire Noxian legions on his own. Before Noxians realized how overpowered he was, and they nuked the town where the Vuju Blade Masters were trained. So now there is no more Vuju Blade Masters, just normal Blade Masters. And lastly, the common warrior in Bilgewater would be
A pirate.
brawler. You see, I just named 8 different kinds of warriors. How is Riot going to handle this? I don't know. They could just make one warrior class and then just have the players play out the fantasy while wearing cool armor sets.
Oh, they could, yeah.
Or they could make it so that every origin has a different skin of the class.
Yeah, or maybe a
You
different
know,
style,
all the
you
abilities
different
would be the
weapons. So if
same,
you
would be doing
equip
the
that
same
weapon, you
numbers.
become that
When
type of
Noxian
warrior.
swings a weapon, there is a bloody trail, and when an Iceborne Berserk swings a weapon, there is a frosty effect. But again, this is for Riot to figure out. Now I'm just going to show you all the unique and interesting classes from this universe. In Demacia, we have the Mage Seekers. These are the people
People
who
looking
hunt
for
down mages.
magic people.
They carry with them a stone disc called the Grey Mark. This is the tool that allows them to absorb magic.
Oh, okay.
So this would be sort of an anti-magic
They look like
class.
Phantom of the Opera in a
There
way.
are also a lot of iconic Demacian scouts. Also, Demacia has a lot of stories about theaters and bards. But Demacia also brought spotlight onto the Sentinels. The Sentinels of Light are people dedicated to fighting the undead. Because the undead can't really be killed with normal weapons, they use the relic stones that can be forged into any weapon. Be it a crossbow, a gun, a really big gun, or even a sword.
A really, really
Fun
big
fact,
gun.
In the lore, the Sentinel guns don't have triggers. You have to will it to fire with every fiber of your body. So of course, Lucian canonically fired it with his PP. Lastly, this will be unknown to even veteran League players, but Demacia put a really cool twist onto the Paladin class. You see, in League of Legends, when you play as Garen, his ultimate is to smite his enemies with a giant holy blade. This made people wonder, is Garen a mage? In Demacia? Actually, no. In the lore, Garen has never done anything even similar to this. And that's because there is something even cooler happening. Most people in Demacia pray to the aspect of justice, which they call the Winged Protector. That's why Demacia has a lot of angelic statues. Coincidentally, the aspect of justice can also be found in League, its scale. So what's happening is that when Garen is casting his ultimate, It is not him magically creating a holy blade in the sky. It is actually the aspect of justice answering his call. So even though this universe
But
doesn't
that
really
would be
have a
considered a little
bodily
bit of
gods,
magic.
which would be casting holy spells, this would be a really cool alternative.
Yeah.
People who worship the aspect of justice and let her answer their calls. Pretty cool, but now let's move on to Noxus. Noxians are one of the only regions who harvest black powder, so they also have their own mercenaries with
Guns.
functional guns.
Mm.
In Noxus, you can also find a lot of demonic cultists, so I would expect a warlock or a demon summoner, and they
A
also have a
demon
few renowned
summoner.
assassin guilds.
That would be
And the
cool.
most unique of them all, Noxus
I play a
also has
summoner
circle
on
of
Final Fantasy.
Henomancers,
I really
people
like
who
to
follow
summon things.
Vladimir, a lord who used to be a hostage to the Darkin, and who eventually learned
He's
how to
cool.
use their blood magic.
Hmm.
So these people use the very same blood magic that shaped the Darkin. Then in Shurima, we may find arcane mages. These people
Arcane
follow
mages.
Zerath, the most powerful mage on Runeterra, whose
Hmm.
body has been reduced to nothing but arcane energy. I would honestly love to see this class in game, because I love the idea of having an Archon form on cooldown. Shurima also has some prophets who can open up tiny portals into the void and summon tiny void creatures.
More
It would be
summoning.
sort of like Warlock in WoW. You know, use the power of the enemy against themselves. Then there are the Sand Shifters, people who can use the sand to create sand mirror images. And we can't forget about the Chronomancers, people who use
Chronomancers?
time magic in a lot of creative, interesting ways. Then in Piltover, riding off of the success of Arcane, people will want to play as a Warden, which is a more elite version of the Enforcers.
I was about to
These
say,
would be equipped
they're
with
a
sniper
lot
rifles
cooler.
and stun grenades. On the crafty side, there are also the Hextech Engineers. These are the people who can use science to allow them to wield magic even if they are not mages. And separate from them, there are also the Artificers. To them, anything from a powerful arm to blade legs should be possible. And down in Zone, I would love to see some kind of an alchemist who's using questionable drugs to help his allies. Next, we go into the Freljord. Here we can find the Draklorn Inquisitors,
Draklorn.
which are Lyssandra's followers with abilities themed around
Lysandra.
true ice. Essentially, these would be frost battle mages. But perhaps the most iconic for the Freljord would be the Shamans. These
Shamans.
worship the animalistic primal gods of the Freljord, and all their abilities mimic the primal gods, be it a bear, a fox, a mammoth, or a boar.
That would be
Then
really
on
cool.
Dargon, we would find a lot of people with celestial powers. You know, calling down stars and such. But there are also the Solari who use the power of the sun to enhance their attacks. They also wear massive plated armor, so this would be the tank class. Or the Lunari who use the power of the moon to stay in the shadows. This would be more of an assassin class. Besides these, there are also a lot of star callers around, and even draconic worshippers. Then in Ionia, besides the Vuju Blade Masters, which would be far too overpowered,
I
some
agree.
people choose to fight without a blade. These would be the monks of
The monks,
Ivana.
yeah.
They channel the power of Ionian dragons to empower their limbs. And don't worry, they are a bit different from the traditional monks. They are far more badass. Think less Bruce Lee and more Dragon Ball.
Hey, Bruce
But
Lee
of
was
course,
very,
Ionia is also
very
home
cool.
to the Kinku ninjas. Their goal is to
Ninja.
maintain balance in Ionia. This means that when a spirit starts killing people, the ninjas go out and deal with the spirit. And when people start terrorizing the spirits, the ninjas go out and deal with the people. Most of these are your classic ninjas empowered with spiritual magic, but some are using the forbidden shadow technique. And while they surely look evil, just like anything in League of Legends, it's not really one-sided. These ninjas are simply using questionable techniques to protect their homeland. And honestly, the Shadow Ninjas are so iconic for Ionia, I really do believe they will be playable. Then we get to Bilgewater. Besides
you can
all
be
the
a pirate.
things that you could do with pirates and monster hunters, the most iconic class of this place are the Priests of Buru. The Buru
Priest. That
worship
would
the
be an
god of motion
interesting
called
class.
Nagakeboros. While they are priests, they fight with full physical strength,
Hmm.
while borrowing power from the god to empower themselves.
Yeah, that would be a
Usually
very
this means
interesting
the
race.
god
I don't
spawns
think there's ever been a
tentacles to
priest
smack the
in an
enemies
MMO.
around. But they also have healing powers, so that would
Mm-hmm.
be a
A
really
healer.
cool support class. In Riot's RPG called Ruined King, you can play as Ilawi, the high priestess of
You
Nagakeboros.
play that
And
game.
there you can see all the attacks she can pull off. And this takes us to the last place, Ishtal, which will most likely be saved for an expansion.
Mm-hmm.
As I mentioned in the last video, Ishtal specializes in only one thing: elemental magic. So if elemental mages become a class, and they should,
Yeah,
even in
I
League,
want them
elemental
to.
dragons are a core mechanic.
Hmm.
They would come from Ishtal. But that's it for all the unique classes this universe has to offer.
Hmm.
Funnily enough, when I was drafting all these classes, I realized a lot of them fall under specific categories. So going with the skin idea for all
Support,
the
rogue,
classes wouldn't be
summoner.
too
Oh,
unreasonable.
demon
But
caller.
developing
I
so
like
many
the idea of
artistic
a demon
variations
caller.
of the classes would be taxing. So overall, I believe Riot should not care about disappointing some players for not including their favorite class.
Well,
With
there's
so
always
many
could be
options, it's
updates
going to
in
happen
the
anyway.
future of them adding
Instead,
them.
pick a
So
couple of
I
classes
don't
that
think you
simply
disappoint a
make
lot of
sense for
people.
you. You know, a Blade Master here, an Arcane Mage there, and just have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Having fun during development usually translates into great experiences.
I
And
agree.
I hope I'm not pressuring anyone by stirring up hype. If anything, I'm just happy that people find these videos
I
interesting.
think even if you disappoint a few people, this game was gonna be so big and popular and loved by a lot of people that it shouldn't matter. So yeah, I don't think the developers should worry about disappointing people. Just make the MMO enjoyable. It's already
all
unique.
I'm doing is presenting information that Riot released over the past 10 years. I mean,
I played
know the video is interesting
a
because
handful of
Asmongold only
MMOs,
burst
so
3
this
times, and he said,
MMO is gonna be
That's
so
fucking
unique.
cool.
and I like it a lot.
Asmongold, what?
And
What the fuck? This is actually really cool.
Did he react to this?
that to me marks a big success. Next time, we are going to talk about all the already established raid bosses of this universe.
Oh yeah, I gotta watch
which
that now.
is a very personal topic for me. You know, I am a father, my son is 2 years old. So by the time this MMO comes out, he's going to be just the right age to heal my raids.
Smart thinking. Fluffy! Hi, Fluffy. Oh, he's so fluffy. Alright. Yeah, that was very interesting. I think, I'd be a demon summoner. I would be the goat demon summoner. Alright, guys, so that was my reaction to the classes and races by Necrit. If you want to watch it, I'll leave his link down there, so go check him out. And if you're new, please like, subscribe, ring the bell for notification. Thank you all so much for watching. You have a good day and night. Bye-bye.